Take back your soul. This is another transmission from Mahadeva here at ThunderWizard.com headquarters, where you find the world's only unified spiritual energy system at ThunderWizard.com. Get ready, because here I come. Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva. Welcome back. Alright, I'm sitting in a new place. I'm only in this house for another couple of weeks. We'll see if the next one is more comfortable. So we have a lunar eclipse coming up in a couple of days. And as you know, lunar eclipses are extremely powerful. Both lunar and solar eclipses are extremely powerful, and they happen together. And in Vedic astrology, which actually is an accurate calculation of the skies, forgive me, Western astrology is an inaccurate calculation of the skies, so I don't use that. In Vedic astrology, the lunar eclipse is going to be in Scorpio. And Scorpio is the 8th sign. It is a sign, a water sign, technically, even though it is Mars. Now, Mars is a planet of fire, so what happens when you put something hot in water? It gets agitated. Everything gets agitated. So this is Scorpio. So what's happening is we're taking the moon, which is the mind, not the intellect. The intellect is what you use to figure things out. This is that is this, up is up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west. That's your intellect, and your intellect does not connect you to your emotions. Your intellect is here to help you figure out this, this illusion, this matrix that we live in, which, by the way, I'm here to tell you that it is my belief that the matrix is going to start to shift in such a way where we are about to see more and more that what we live in really is a very thinly veiled perception bubble. And we've been living in this matrix throughout our evolution, and we're now in a state where we can move to the next level. So the moon is going to be in Scorpio, and it's going to be eclipsed there, which means that the mind, which is not the intellect, the mind, which is the emotions, the mind, which is the meditative mind, which allows you to connect on a higher level, gives you distance from all of your attachments, helps you to see things like you're flying in a plane over the earth. You get to see all of the landscape instead of down in the forest not being able to see past the tree in front of your face. And this part of us, the mind, is going to become eclipsed. It's going to be eclipsed by the south node of the moon. The north node of the moon, Rahu, has to do with our obsessions. It eclipses the mind and the soul, the sun and the moon. It eclipses those by attaching us to our desires, our needs, our obsessions, our appetites. Rahu wants us to believe that this matrix is everything that exists and get lost in that attachment. But we aren't going to have that eclipsing our mind. It's going to be the south node of the moon, which is Ketu. Ketu is that which brings us out of the matrix. It not just brings us out, it destroys it. So Ketu is a headless being, which means that it has no identity. My name is so-and-so, I live here, I do this. That is Rahu. Rahu gets wrapped up in this illusion and gets attached to it. Ketu says, no, that doesn't exist. None of this exists. And so wherever Ketu sits, Ketu destroys, in a violent, destructive way, destroys any attachment that we have to this matrix. So Ketu is associated with spirituality. But if we are not in a spiritual state, if we are not in alignment with our soul, if we are not seeking to release our attachments, then when Ketu comes around, it is very traumatic for us, because our attachment to this limited reality is destroyed in a way that's usually not pleasant. So the way to get ahead of that is to have a spiritual life. So this is going to be happening. In on the 15th and 16th. I think somewhere around midnight, if I briefly researched it correctly, somewhere around midnight, I think, on the East Coast here. I can't believe I'm on the East Coast of the United States. I've spent my whole life talking about being on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast of the United States, and so I believe it's going to be around midnight on the 15th. So what can we expect from this? Well, there's some other things going on which are very interesting, which is that if I understand this correctly, this I went surfing today, or at least I tried, so I'm very tired. This eclipse is going to be associated with the star Al-Ghul. This star, the representation of it is Medusa, the head of Medusa. After the head of Medusa has been chopped off by, I believe it's Perseus, he walks around holding it in front of him, confronting all of his enemies. And whenever you look into the eyes of Medusa, you turn into stone. You become frozen with fear. And so this is going to be happening with this, and it means people are going to lose their heads. So who are the people losing their heads, I don't know, but there's going to be a lot of emotional upheaval. Now, this is Scorpio, because as I said, Scorpio is a water sign, but it is lorded over by Mars, which is fire. So Scorpio represents intense emotions. And so, I don't know. Who knows what will happen? My suggestion would be on the 15th, 16th during this, that you do some meditation. Now, I'm biased. I think you should do the meditations that I teach here. And we'll talk about more and more why I am thinking that this Maoshan practice, the Warrior 90-Day Challenge practice, I believe is certainly one of the most beneficial practices for what we are about to experience. I don't know. I can't say this. I didn't have a vision where I saw what was going to happen on what date. At least to my knowledge, nothing like that has happened. I can only tell you some feelings that I've had. I think like a lot of you, recently in the past 6 months, I've had a couple of pretty intense dreams that left the impression that we were about to enter into a new phase of existence that was going to be simultaneously frightening and exciting all at the same time. and the lid is going to come off of all of the illusion. So this is connected to Ketu. Ketu and Mars, by the way, Ketu and Mars are good friends. So when you have any association with Mars and Ketu coming together, it turns into something powerful. So it means that Ketu is empowered to go and destroy our illusions. So I'd recommend that you do some type of meditative practice, some energy practice. And if you decide to do a ritual during these eclipses, they're extremely powerful. And if you have a specific thing you want to accomplish, you can do so. If you, let's say you want to start something, start a business, start a relationship, or you want to break through blocks in your life, then one of the ways that you can worship Ketu is by doing a Ganesha mantra. Because Ganesha is in fact Ketu. Ganesha is Ketu after he has destroyed illusion, and then he creates something spiritual. So we don't know that because of people, Ganesha is seen as a very benevolent, kind, and he is being. And he is, we go to Ganesha to ask for his help whenever we start something. The word Ganesha, the root Ga, beginning of his name, actually comes from the same Indo-European root word that we use in English, to go. It initiates movement. And it is said that Shiva, in fact, can't do anything unless he asks for his son Ganesha's blessing in order to get things moving. So one of the ways that you can worship Ketu without getting into all the crazy darkness that Ketu is represented, a headless being, you can worship Ganesha. And Ganesha is in fact a headless boy with the head of an elephant put on top of it. So he's still Ketu, but he now is employed with wisdom, and this is the wisdom to know what to do when your attachment to this limited physical world gets destroyed. What do? You worship Ketu and you ask him. So Ketu wants to destroy this three-dimensional illusion. What he wants is he wants everybody to just be spirit, to be a spirit without a body, just completely connected to pure spiritual truth. That's what he wants. So whenever he manifests, he just does that. Somebody might even say he's the most powerful of all the gods because of that. So if you want him to help you create something in this three-dimensional space, you worship Ganesha, because Ganesha, you wouldn't go to Ganesha and ask Ganesha to give you, help me to create a nuclear bomb, help me to create something that destroys people's lives. You would never do that. Nobody goes to Ganesha and asks for that, because Ganesha is also associated with righteousness and truth and benevolence and children and all kinds of things like that. So you go to Ganesha and ask him to bless this new thing you want to create, and in exchange for that, you will use whatever it is you create, new business, new relationship, breaking through bonds, you will use the success you gain from that to empower your own spiritual life and empower other people. That pleases Ketu. If you focus something that you want to create in this world that will eventually work to help people release themselves from this illusion, Ketu likes that and he wants to help you with that. So Ganesha is the way to do that. So in case you want to do that, you guys can, I'll give you a brief ritual for that. I'm writing it here in the chat here. This is a 5-element ritual to Ganesha. And so what that is you are going to offer the 5 elements, which are, you offer flowers. So you're going to put this on your altar. Flowers. You're going to offer incense. You're going to offer a candle. You're going to offer some, like a shot glass with some kind of beverage. It can be water. That's fine. Wood, metal, fire, water, earth. And then earth, you are going to offer, you're going to put on the altar just like a small little bowl of nuts and or, candy, fruit, something like that. Okay, and then you're going to chant this mantra, Om Shri Ganeshaya Nama. All right, so there's your 5 element ritual to Ganesha. If you have a mala, you can use one of these, chant it 108 times. You don't have to worry about it. I have somewhere on my channel, again, if you guys figure out how to search my channel, you will find it. I have me chanting, not this particular Ganesha mantra, but a Ganesha mantra to shamanic drums, African shamanic drums. You didn't know that, did you? Why? Because you haven't learned how to search my channel. So learn how to do that, and if you just want to hit play and listen to me chant it, you can chant along with me on the 15th or the 16th, and you can offer those elements. Now, at the end of your mantra chanting, what you're going to do is you're going to drink the liquid that you put in the shot glass, and you're going to eat just a small handful of whatever it is you put in there, because the mantra will be filled with the vibration of those things, and when you consume those things, the vibration of that will go into your cells. If you do this during an eclipse, it is incredibly powerful. So there you go. Enjoy that if you want. So let me now talk about what I think might be coming. I'm totally okay if I'm wrong about this. I kind of hope I'm not, but I won't lose any sleep if it turns out that this is just my projection. But we are on the verge of seeing how different reality is from what we think it is. The idea that, we have just been in our bubble of perception, the idea that there's just human beings and we're the only consciousness in the universe, the idea that we and the animals that we see and interact with are the only beings on this planet. The more that quantum physics looks into the idea of extra dimensions, the more they're coming to the conclusion that shamans and spiritual people have been coming to for thousands of years, is that what we perceive as the universe, this 4-dimensional reality, it's a 4-dimension, it's 3 spatial dimensions plus time. The 4 dimensions that we experience, we think that's all there is. And if you're like me, you probably thought that the spirit world is some sort of non-physical world. And in fact, like when people go on ghost hunting tours, the ghosts are sort of like less real than humans are. They're like in this, they're not quite real. And so we have this feeling that we're the only real things in the universe and everything else is in this sort of hazy other place that's sort of out there somewhere. But in reality, what's going on is that we live in this tiny little four-dimensional bubble that is intersected by, I don't even know how many dimensions, according to my ancestors and according to the Taoists and according to others. At the very least, in fact, there's the Bagua right there. There's the Chinese version of this. This is the Aish Yalmer Thunder Wheel with the runes on it by one of my previous apprentices. He created this rune deck. But there are 9 worlds here, right? You've got the 4 here, and then the diagonal, and then the center here. The 9 dimensions. There's at least 9 dimensions, probably a lot more. And they are right on top of us. In fact, they're interwoven with our dimension. Some of them can see us very easily. Like us looking into a goldfish bowl. They can see us. If they choose to, they can interact with us. But we won't be able to understand what the hell it is. Sort of like if you're a goldfish and you're a human, all the goldfish is going to see if you stick your hand in is some giant hand coming into the goldfish bowl. Won't be able to see anything else really. And so that's what's happening with some of these other dimensions. That's why seemingly things like having synchronicities line up. That there's no way that could have happened and that person could have known this and this thing, and seemingly somebody's jumping around in time and putting things in your way to make things happen. That's because those beings that are interacting with you aren't limited to your four-dimensional space-time continuum. To them, time it's not linear. I remember a dream that I had probably 30 years ago, and I was practicing this intensely, and I was beginning to sort of leave my body. I was not really connected to my body in my everyday life, and the dreams that I were having were very intense. And I had one dream where the Grand Master of the sect here, I never got a chance to meet with him, so I never asked if that was an experience, if that was just some other being was masquerading as him in order to get my attention, or if he was actually there. But he was standing there, and there was a screen in front of me. He was standing next to me. And on the screen, there was like multiple screens on the screen. And I was in this bubble that was like the central hub of all of these different timelines. And he was saying, you can choose to go into any one of these timelines and pull something out. And I can't remember what it was, but he said, in fact, stick your hand in one of these and pull something out. And I stuck my hand in there and I pulled out something from one of these timelines. And the feeling was that I could choose to go into any one of these timelines if I wanted to. And it was like our timeline. It was like 10,000 years ago and 500 years in the future. And he was saying that time is relative. You can jump around in time as much as you want. And that's what it's like for these beings that are not in our dimension. And so what I think is going to happen is that more and more of these portals between dimensions either are going to start opening up and or we will become more aware of them, just like our ancestors did. Our ancestors knew that there were other beings from other dimensions that could come in and out of our dimension anytime they wanted. I've experienced some of that in other things that I've talked about. I'm sure some of you have as well. But I think what is going to happen is we are really going to see that the true nature of reality is not physical reality. That the true nature of reality is consciousness and intention. And we will start to understand that just like light responds to intention, our world, especially this physical world, is a direct result of our intentions. So, any case, maybe we'll talk more about that later when I'm rested in there. I got more stuff that I can add to the discussion. Maybe we'll do something special on I don't know if I'm working or not that night, but if I'm not working, maybe we'll do something special on the lunar eclipse. So this is a question and answer. I'm happy to take any questions. Honest question is, you ask me something that you don't know, that you think I might know. If you don't have a question, you can share a feeling. A feeling is just that. I am happy, I am sad, I'm confused, I'm confident. Once again, I just had somebody who should have known better. I won't get into details. And they left a comment saying honest feeling, and all they did was spout an opinion. That's not helpful to you. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion. You want to go have an opinion, please feel free to write a book, make a video, put it up on your channel. But an honest feeling is a feeling, and we need to be more connected to our feelings. Not that we need to have our feelings control us, that's not the ideal, but to be able to be conscious of all of our emotional awareness. Because I'll tell you something, if you want to have your own Dr. Manhattan experience where you completely transform yourself and you become a god, it's going to happen through the heart center. The heart center is where your emotions and your soul is. If you are not conscious of your emotions, you can't become Dr. Manhattan. So that's why I tell people to share their feelings. Because the more that you're able to do that, the more you will also be able to learn to ask the universe for things on a more conscious level. You will ask the universe because you'll know what the feeling is behind it. That's why a lot of times I ask people all kinds of questions about, why are you asking that question? Here's what you really want to ask me, because I'm more interested in the feeling behind it. And if you can learn how to communicate with your teachers, which of course are the ascended masters, and have consciousness of your feelings, the more they will respond to you. I guarantee it. The ascended masters, the transdimensional beings, want to give you knowledge and information. They want to give you techniques to be able to be like they are. But in order for that to happen, you have to have the right mindset. Otherwise, you can't make a connection with them. The way that you can do that, train yourself to do that, is to learn how to know all of your thoughts and your feelings and not be controlled by them. Learn how to ask your questions to me as consciously as possible from that place. And so you can practice that with me, and then you can go take it to the real masters, and they'll be able to give you knowledge and techniques to become like they are. All right, with that, I'm happy to take any questions. So, Thundra says hello. She is one of my astrologers. She is certified. You can go to her website, Thundra, thundra.thunderwizard.com. She's got all kinds of stuff there. Go check her out. She's an excellent astrologer and healer in her own right. And then we have, of course, Vincent.thunderwizard.com, Gebo the Shaman. And he is also one of my astrologers. You can go to his website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. All right. Looking again, I'm just interested in the questions. If you're new to the channel, anything other than a question is noise to me, because I have to scroll through it. I just want to see your questions, please. Spectrum of Life question. Is it possible to go back in time to change certain aspects of our lives, or even to change our time of birth to get the perfect life? I don't like your question. Do you know why? Let me give you a second. You don't need to write it. I want you to sit with it for a second and ask yourself, why does Mahadeva not like that question? So I get annoyed by things. Let me tell you why I get annoyed. I get annoyed when I experience anybody who is sabotaging their own power. And when somebody asks a question that sounds to me like they are operating from fear or weakness or insecurity, I get annoyed. I get annoyed because I care about you. I want you to be empowered. I want you to be happy. So operating from bravery, that excites me. The first part of your question doesn't bother me all that much. I mean, I sensed where it was going, but then at the last part of it, it really hit me, and it really annoys me because I want better for you. So your question, is it possible to go back in time to change certain aspects of our lives? The answer to that question is yes. Or even change our time of birth to get the perfect life. So, Spectrum of Life, it makes me want to ask you so many questions like, how many of my books have you read? How many of the exercises are you doing on a daily basis? Are you subscribed? Are you doing any of the techniques that I offer? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. It makes me think no. You're just one of those people that come onto the channel and wait for the live streams, and you don't really dig deep into the work here. Maybe I'm wrong. Sometimes I can't tell who people are by their names on here. Maybe you're my apprentice and I don't know about it. But it hurts me. The second part of your question hurts me because it is such a disrespectful thing to say to yourself. It carries with it so much shame about who you are. Changing the time of your birth is like saying, I want to erase my existence. I don't like who I am and I want to erase myself. You didn't know that when you asked the question. You may not even feel that now. The fact that you were born at a specific time that created a specific chart is an event that is celebrated by every being in the universe. Any human being who is given the privilege and the opportunity to be this incredibly powerful, multi-dimensional being, to incarnate, who chooses to incarnate at a specific time so that they can have specific powers and what you perceive as weaknesses or opportunities. It's such a denial of all of the power that you have, and that makes me incredibly sad to hear you hate yourself that much. Because that's what you just did. You just took a crap all over your infant self. If going back in time and changing the birth time for yourself, the person that you are, would be like going back in time and taking a dump on your own infant self. It's horrible. The other assumption is that your life is imperfect and that you have no power. And if only this were different and that were different, then I'd have the perfect life. Now, the reason why I asked the question, have you read any of my books, is because I have a book called, what is it? The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. You can find that on Amazon. You can go onto my channel and listen to me read from my book. You can go and look for it on the playlists. So for you to even use that phrase, change the time of birth to get the perfect life, you see yourself as a victim of circumstance, and if only the time was different, then this perfect life would sort of land on you and happen to you. And it won't matter if you don't understand the simple understanding that everybody's perfect life is that. Understanding how to focus and take actions based on your soul. That even if you were to come up with what you think the perfect birth scenario is and fix all that up, if you don't understand that, you'll screw up that life too. It shows a fundamental misunderstanding of, number one, what an amazing creature you are, how incredibly powerful you are, how much effort your soul and all of the other higher beings that worked with you went into crafting your perfect birth so that you would be born into this world with a specific array of powers and what you believe is weaknesses, opportunities. You're going to throw all that away. What would you do with a student who did that? They're working towards the degree that they want, and they go, you know what, I'm almost ready to get my master's, and I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to become a business major. And you'd be like, oh my God, I spent all this time. So spectrum of life, the first answer to your question is yes, but the second part of your question completely you are throwing away your responsibility. You must take full responsibility for your life. So rethink that. I could go on and on and on, but it saddens me to hear you talk like that. Understand what an amazing opportunity it is. The things in your chart that you think aren't perfect are the most powerful things there are. Let me give you an example in my chart. So as you guys know, I am a recognized, at least by some people, I'm a recognized master in Qigong, in Neigong, internal work. I'm also, I'm very good at giving mantras. I have all kinds of mastery and knowledge about energy work. This kind of stuff here, which, I'm doing my best to share with you and teach you. This stuff up here and this stuff here. The reason I got into that is because if you look in my chart, I have Moon in Leo in the first house. Now that sounds really great, except for the fact that I was born on a new moon, which means that I lack energy. That means if I don't do energy work, I start to get stretched really thin, and it's not good for me. So that's why in my mid to late 20s, I would spend 3-4 hours a day doing this practice here. Got to the point where I achieved a level of mastery, and now I teach that. I have an understanding of why energy work does what it does, the techniques. I don't even know if the teachers that were channeling this information, that gave me the techniques, I don't even know if they understand all the stuff I've reverse engineered. That doesn't mean I have their ability or their power, but I have a knowledge and an ability to share with you all the stuff that I teach you about the lightning center of the heart and why that is so powerful and so unique and so important. I don't know if they understood that. The reason I have that knowledge is because I have this weakness in my chart, which forced me to do energy work sometimes 3-4 hours a day, and go celibate for 6.5 years and just lock myself wherever I could by myself and go off into the ethers. So if I didn't have that weakness, that imperfection in my chart, I would not have the knowledge and the power that I have now. So spectrum of life. Do you get it? Drop that crap. Drop it. You have no idea the incredible diamond that is shining right in front of you. In fact, you're spitting on it. Your imperfections are things that when you put energy into them to improve them, they will become the most powerful things in your being that will make you more powerful, more knowledgeable, more successful than anybody else. Okay? So look at your question again and then understand how you've been looking at it from a place of weakness, how you've been looking at it from a victim mentality. Looking at your life, you are a victim of circumstance in your eyes. And have you ever heard me talk about like that in my life? Never. So, all right, I'm going to stop beating the crap out of him. Flame 160 question. I have Scorpio moon in my chart. Will that affect my experience of lunar? I can't tell. I have to look at your chart. And I don't know if you're talking about Vedic or Western. I don't do Western. I only do Vedic. So this is a really great question to ask one of my astrologers. And if you want to, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and you can ask one of them. Because any good astrologer is going to need to look at your whole chart. That, anybody who wants to answer that with that little knowledge is not a very good astrologer. Patrick of Southtown, please write honest feeling in all caps so that I don't miss it. You say, I feel excited for the lunar eclipse. Me too. Root, honest feeling, I'm scared to confront my unconscious, although I tell myself that I'm brave enough to do it. So Root, I don't want you to confront your unconscious. I don't want you to confront anything. In fact, if you try to confront your unconscious will lock down even harder, and your unconscious will win. Your unconscious is a 400-pound gorilla. So the way to get your unconscious to work for you is not to confront it. The way to deal with your unconscious is to surrender to it. And when you are able to convince the 400-pound gorilla to do the things that actually do work for you, then it will go, oh, you want me to do that. I thought you said that you wanted to be a victim and you wanted to be poor and homeless because your parents shamed you out of your success. So I was trying to give you what you wanted. I didn't realize that what you wanted was to actually be prosperous and healthy. Well, I can do that now that I understand what you want. You want to get your 400-pound gorilla to work for you. How do you do that? Well, you do Vedic mantra, ritual, and energy work. Those are the tools that I have. And of course, working with a teacher, having some kind of a mentor that you talk to. These are the things that you do to learn how to reprogram your 400-pound gorilla, not confront him. Having said that, I totally understand your feelings, the fear. It's a 400-pound gorilla is frightening, so that's an understandable feeling to have. Blake Kaufman, question: what is time? Blake, welcome to my channel. If you've been here a while, you know that I don't respond to these tiny, superficial questions. Ask me a question that has some depth to it. Spend some time watching my channel, what I teach. Come to me with a nuanced, intelligent question. Obviously, how could I possibly answer that question? One thing I can tell you, which I find interesting based on physics, is that did you know that time goes faster when you're standing up at the top of your head than it does at your feet? Time has everything to do with density and with gravity and mass. Mass creates time. So that's there's an answer to your question. Jada Flames, welcome to the channel. If you see other people above you have written, like Blake did, question in all caps, so write the word question in all caps so I know that you're addressing me, so I don't miss your question. So again, I'm going to say to you, I can tell that you're new to the channel. There are some questions I don't respond to. What are your thoughts on? I don't like those questions. They're lazy questions. Also, Akashic records. I never talk about Akashic records. So I don't talk about things I don't teach. And so it's best not to ask me about things I don't teach. You don't know what I teach? That's not your fault. But we have this channel that has how many thousands of videos on it? Go and search through it. Learn how to search my channel, look at the playlists, and watch and see what I talk about. And then find the things that I talk about that you have questions about. You ask me about that, I'm going to be excited. Ask me my thoughts on the Akashic records. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that because I've never once talked about the Akashic records. But welcome to the channel. I hope you find something here that you find interesting that helps you. Creative Virgo, honest feeling. Pleased often to have viewed, what is that? I don't know who that is. Okay, I don't know who you're talking about, so I'm not gonna. I don't talk about other people. I don't talk about other teachers, that kind of stuff. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. I'm having a sale for only $90. Oh, I forgot to mention that. So if you go to Vincent's website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com, he can give you an astrology reading, and he's having a sale. Moon Priestess question: what is your favorite practice out of all the ones that you do? It's a very tough question. Now, my favorite practice isn't going to be your favorite practice. But my favorite practice is one that I haven't taught publicly yet because it's two reasons. It's too powerful and it's too complicated. You might see me doing it here, pieces of it. There's pieces of it right there. Yeah, that's actually, there are, so we have these 5 sets here, right? So we have the 5 element sets, which I still have to give people not new footwork, just little additions to the footwork. Excuse me. And there is the actual footwork set, which lays out the map of the universe. And then the 5 elements fills the universe with the 5 phases of energy to create things. And then there are 3 sets after that. Those are the actual spirit fighting sets. And the first one empowers the lower self, the lower Dantian, and it fills out the space of the universe. And then there's a second set which has to do with the butterfly, which has to do with the 2 halves of the mirror. And that opens up the heart center. And then there's a third one, which is called the, it's got multiple names. They all have multiple names, but one of the names is the immortal fist. And by immortal, they mean the immortal wizard, the perfected immortal. And it opens up the upper Dantian. And it is the opening of all 3 of these Dantians these Dantian meaning energy centers, the third eye, the heart, and the navel. When these are open up and they're functioning and communicating, then you get to be, you get to become a perfected immortal. If you get to become a Dr. Manhattan. So my favorite one is the third one, the one that opens up the upper center. But that is something I would probably have to teach in person. So when we start doing in-person classes and people, if you get through all of these, if you get through the 5 element sets and you get through the footwork set, which I haven't taught yet, and you get through the lower Dantian set, the second set, and then I'll teach that to whomever, if people make it that far. But just to give you some awareness, mastery of this, the 5 element sets, that's already far and away beyond anything that I've ever experienced. In fact, I had an experience with the fire set that, I mean, even people in the sect that I learned from don't realize how powerful these are. They sort of treat them, they kind of poo-poo them, because the most recent Grand Master, who just recently passed away not too long ago, he, quote, invented them. But I now know, after doing a reverse engineering on them, that he didn't invent them. He channeled them. He channeled those 5 element sets. And when I practiced the fire set, just over and over and over and over and over, I had an out-of-body experience that I still to this day can't explain what happened. But that's the kind of stuff you're dealing with here. So if you're asking me what my favorite stuff, all of this stuff, all of the spirit fighting is my favorite. Let's see. Casey Jones, question. I closed my eyes the other morning and had a vision of a large black dog leaping through my frame of vision. Have you experienced anything similar? Nope. I have not. But it sounds interesting and maybe frightening. I don't know. The thing about visions is that you never really know what the visions are. So the thing to do is to just sort of take them with a grain of salt, remember them, write them down if you have to, because otherwise you'll forget. And then just watch and see what happens. If it's a real vision, it's going to be either useful for you or it's going to manifest in your actual 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional life. If it's just your unconscious doing what the brain does, which is constantly throwing things at you, and all kinds, your unconscious does all kinds of crazy things, then it won't turn into anything. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I signed up for a gym membership today. Good for you. I'm feeling nervous and insecure about it, but I know I want to get into shape, so I took fearless action. Good for you, my friend. Yeah, the gym. If it weren't for the gym, I don't know that I would survive. So it's just going there and getting all the endorphins going, and I really need that. Moon Priestess, honest feeling. I'm feeling very emotional and tense. I feel pain on my left leg above the knee. Interesting. I've had that same phantom pain. Mine, it feels, at first, when it first happened, I thought I had scraped it or I thought I had burned it because it burned. But it was purely emotional, connected to other nervous stuff. But it's probably what's called TMS, which means that your body is somaticizing the emotional conflict. So try to breathe through it. Try to, whenever I experience those kinds of physical pains, one of the things I do is I go into it and I thank my body. I say, thank you for trying to protect me from these intense emotions. I would rather feel those emotions, even if they're uncomfortable. I would rather feel them in my emotions than have them go into my body. So please release it, or you can ask it. Wherever the pain is, you go, what am I upset about? What am I angry about? And if you listen, your body will tell you. In one of my books, my first book called Wealth Shaman, you should check that out, I teach a very powerful practice to learn what these emotions are trying to tell you. And there are ways to do shamanic just real brief shamanic meditations to go in and talk to your body, and you'll find out the things that you're most afraid of, the fear, the pain that you're running away from, is trying to give you some really important information. And so if you are able to visualize the pain as something, you can see it as a monster or a giant, a ball of barbed wire, or a fire or something like that, and you ask it, say, what is it you want me to do? It'll tell you. And that thing that you're supposed to do is what's causing all of the conflict. It may not be exactly what's going on with you, but Moon Priestess, but yeah. So Moon Priestess makes me want to ask you, do you have, you see here, everybody needs to know what I'm about to say. You guys, you can't do this alone. You've got to have teachers. I'm not the only teacher in the world, so you don't have to, everybody doesn't have to work with me, but you got to have somebody. You got to have a mentor, a therapist. You got to have a group of people, support group. You got to have people you can go to who can help you work through things. So I don't know if Moon Priestess, if you're trying to deal with it all by yourself, but you need to be able to process those emotions. Having said that, I'm not trying to guilt you out of them. You can deal with it for as long as you want. I certainly have dealt with things for a lot longer than 4 months. I'm feeling very emotional, leg above the knee, also pain in the lower back on both sides. That's fear. That is the kidneys, which is fear of not being taken care of. Fear of not having enough resources, not having enough money. It means that you don't feel loved by the mother. So, yeah. Breathe into that. The energy practices will help with that. And it's okay to have stuff come up. This could be old stuff that's coming to the surface, and that's okay too. You say, I've been crying a lot and doing the Hool and the Immortal. Good for you. Keep doing that. Let's see, there's a message that got held for review, and guys, if you cuss, YouTube will block your message. So this person cussed. Honest feeling, I'm ready to blow my effing lid. I also expect to be roasted for this comment. I'm not going to roast you for that comment because you shared an honest feeling. You're welcome to have your feelings. It's, the lesson, again, the lesson is always, you should have all of your feelings no matter how intense or uncomfortable. But you take action based on your consciousness. True enlightenment is not about being at peace with everything. True enlightenment is having all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, no matter how pleasant or unpleasant, and still being conscious enough to take constructive action that's helpful for you and all of consciousness. When you can do that, you can say you're enlightened, even if you want to blow your brains out or blow other people's brains out. It's not about how you feel, it's about what you do. That's the most important thing I can teach people, because human beings nowadays don't understand that. They think that their feelings are most important, and they can't do stuff until they get their feelings aligned with what they think. I have to feel confident before I go start a business. No, you don't. My ancestors said, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. They didn't say, those who are feeling victorious and, have feeling like they've got luck on their side, those that feel like they're totally impervious to pain and death, they go to Valhalla. No, they didn't say that. They said those who die in battle go to Valhalla, which means it doesn't matter how you feel. Those people who go out there and face the enemy and take action regardless of how they feel, those people succeed. Those people achieve enlightenment. That's the meaning behind that. It's not about getting hit in the head with an axe. All right, what else? Creative Virgo, honest feeling. Grateful to have been led here for self-improvement. I'm glad that you feel that. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I still feel inadequate as an astrologer. Every time I get a client, I feel like I'm supposed to know more, feel confident, and have all the answers. When I don't, I feel embarrassed. Welcome to the club. I feel like that almost every time. So you're in good company if that means anything. The truth is that people your clients don't see that. They don't feel that because you're a channel for them. And so, you get to have your feelings, but, it's like an actor. I was an actor for many years, and I remember my first performances, went out on stage and did the thing, and it didn't happen the way that I wanted, or it didn't feel the way I wanted it to feel. But I'd get the standing ovation, they'd throw the flowers on the stage, and then afterwards they'd come and say, "That was amazing." And I go, "No, it wasn't. I totally missed that one part." And they would look at me like, "Why did you just take a dump all over me? I just gave you a compliment." Because I screwed up their experience. So I learned that I just hit my mark, I say my line, I feel it or I don't feel it, and I just do my part. And if they tell me that it was amazing, I believe them. I don't try and change their experience of it. And so as an astrologer, you're supposed to do the same thing. But I completely understand that feeling. You didn't ask for my advice, but there it is. Miranda Peacock question: what is the best technique for someone who has experienced cancer, is now considered cured and trying to strengthen the body they are now living and trying to become strong again? That is a very good question. By the way, congratulations. Congratulations on achieving that. What is the best technique? The best technique would be the mastering the book that I gave out, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. My experience, I'm going to say, oh, you guys hear it? Hear that? Sounds like it's in the house, right? It's not. It's outside of the house. That's a gecko. It's a lizard that's like this big, with big old eyes, and he's lonely and horny. So he's looking for a girlfriend. He crawls through the house, in the roof, under the roof, on top of the roof. When I first heard it, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I moved into this place, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" The first night, what the heck is somebody? I was like, "Who's here? Is there somebody here?" Because that sounds like it's coming from the bathroom. And I'd go in the bathroom, and there's, what the heck is that? But it's a gecko. Let's see. I think it's an invasive one. So, getting back to your question. Sorry, I got distracted. The book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, the videos that I have on the channel about it, that's the most important technique. My experience, which I'm always ready to learn and grow, but my experience is that all dis-ease is a result of a conflict between a person conflicted between going after their true soul path, following their joy. Because your soul, the way, people say, "I just want to know what my purpose is." Your purpose is that thing that gives you the greatest joy you can possibly imagine. Now, when you tap into that joy, here's the ironic thing: there will always be a karmic pull to take you away from that. And the karmic pull will always be associated with pleasing other people, being a good person, this, that. Somebody asked a question a while back, which was really good. Said, it was one of my meditations about, following your path or something like that. And he said, I did the meditation and I asked, to be shown a life that I could be proud of. And he said, I got nothing. And I said, of course you got nothing. Your soul doesn't want you to be proud. That's pleasing somebody. Your soul wants to be happy. And that's selfish. And we've been shamed out of our selfish desires. Selfish in a good way. But when you go after what makes you selfishly full of joy, you automatically empower every other being in the universe. So my experience with cancer is the same. It's a really deeply challenging conflict that's gone deep into the unconscious, and it's manifested in the body. I believe this as well. Somebody claimed to have a near-death experience, said that they died of cancer, and went into a coma and died. And when they died, the moment that they died, they found themselves in this beautiful nature place filled with love. And the feeling that they were filled with from all of the beautiful nature that was around them was that they were valuable simply because they existed. And they went, oh, I'm lovable because I exist. And then they realized my whole life I've been spent trying to earn my love from other people, trying to be a good person. And that's what made me sick. And then once they realized that, they knew that if they went back into their body, even if it was filled with, tumors and all that, they knew that, or she did, she knew that if she were to go back in her body, that she would heal. Because she knew that she had value, that she was lovable simply because she was aware of her own existence. And that was all that mattered. So when it comes to cancer, there's some kind of a conflict based on my experience and my observation. I don't want to... Anyway, based on my experience and observation, there's always something like that. Everybody that I've talked to who had it, if I dig deep enough, there's some really deeply buried conflict between wanting to make themselves happy or please other people. So, what is the best technique? Whatever the heck it is that just gives you the most incredible, blissful happiness, and whatever guilt comes along with that, you can have all those feelings, but don't act on them. Because that's the problem. People act on their shameful feelings. They try to please other people. They try to fit in. They try to be a good person. They try to be something different. It could even be, being in a horrible relationship, being in an abusive relationship, and feeling like if you leave, then that person, will be damaged and you owe it to them. And then that conflict and that pain takes hold in the body. That happens a lot. And the kindest thing in that instance, the kindest thing you can do for that person is to leave them. Even if it kills them, even if they pull out a gun and blow their brains out. That's the kindest thing you can do for them, because you are showing them by example that you are going to live for your soul, and you're not going to let anything or anybody else drag you down away from that. So, the most powerful, the best technique is that book. Go read that, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. And congratulations on your cure. That's awesome. Komsagnathi question. Are there any Qigong practices that are especially helpful for skin issues? Yes. It's called the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. It's also called this. When this stuff, even now to this day, even though I've been lifting weights, but when I practice this, if you were to hold my hand would be really soft. When I was practicing, 4 hours a day, if I held a woman's hand, she'd go, "Oh my God, your hands are so soft." I had a guy who came and trained with me. He was a Qigong master, by the way. he came and trained with me in the spirit fighting, which of course is the lightning power, the shin, the heart mind. And then he called me up and he said, "Is it normal for all of my calluses to fall off my heels?" I said, "Yes." Because now all of the chi and all of the blood has gone to the skin. So I think you've asked me this question before, not specifically about the skin, but guys, you ask me these questions about what is the best Qigong for. I'm giving you the best. Every single Qigong master, there's been a few who have practiced even the celestial Qigong and any of this. Every single one of them comes back and says, "I've been doing Qigong and Tai Chi and energy work my whole life, and I've never felt anything that had this kind of vibration to it. I've never felt anything this clean, this powerful, this pure." So Komsagnathi, every other question that you want to have, or anybody else about what is the best Qigong, this is it. I don't know of anything that comes close to it. So just do it. Just do it, and then you can tell me why it's the best Qigong. You say, I have severe psoriasis for years. So that's called TMS. You guys can go look that up. Tension myositis syndrome. Go look it up. It's a syndrome is a specific thing. It includes all kinds of things, including cancer, including psoriasis. It means, whoever asked that, who asked that? Komsagnathi, I don't know anything about you. I already know that you have tremendous internal conflict. You have a lot of self-directed negativity. You are in conflict. You're that guy I'm talking about. Psoriasis especially is like the nervous system flipping out over trying to do the right thing and be the right person, and you're full of rage about wanting to do what you want to do based on or as opposed to being a good person. I can already tell that about you. I've never met you, you've never shared anything with me. But if you have psoriasis, I already know that. You're like on edge about it. You might not even be able to be conscious of what you truly want. So you need to read that book as well. You can do Qigong all day and it'll help. But if you don't understand the psychological conflict, you're going to keep manifesting the psoriasis. It is a completely curable thing. As you know, it's one of those things doctors, they don't even know what causes it. It's one of those things. It's like fibromyalgia. We know what it is, but we don't know what causes it. I remember seeing some commercial for fibromyalgia medicine, and the commercial said, fibromyalgia is a nerve problem that's caused by problems in the nerves. It just so that's one of those things. So I would strongly recommend doing the Qigong, as well as getting it to blood flow to the skin and energy flow to the skin, but also to use it to become conscious of your feelings. I had somebody just leave a comment on the channel saying that they were doing the Qigong I teach and they stopped doing it because a bunch of negative feelings were coming up. So it's going to happen. You're going to have to face and deal with your unconscious that is trying to help you based on really incorrect knowledge. Like I said, the 400-pound gorilla thinks they're trying to protect you, but somewhere they got the message that the way to protect you was to cause you harm. So you're going to need some help. I recommend getting maybe some therapy, finding a counselor, doing the work, and read that book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. If you can master that, you'll be able to get over that. That's been my experience. I hope you have success with that. All right, Juan Caballero. Question: do you think there will be a world war in the next month? I'm not going to answer that because have I ever talked about that? I appreciate the question, but I don't want to. This isn't what I do. Let me put it to you this way: if you're following your true soul path, everything I just talked about, it won't matter. You will be taken to a safe place. You will be drawn to a safe place. If you don't want that to happen, then fix yourself so you don't manifest that. That question bothers me because it means that you're wrapped up in fear, and I don't like that. We don't do that here. So anyway, I don't know the answer to your question, and I don't care. There isn't one within me. Whatever other people do is not my problem. Let's see. Casey Jones' question: how would you interpret consistent aching in the hips? I don't know the answer to that question. But the solution I would offer is the same one. But I don't know. I mean, I understand that there's more to all this. Some things are pure TMS. The one I was really going off on, the skin condition, that's pure TMS. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that person's body. Their immune system is attacking them for no reason. So there's really nothing wrong. It won't matter what medicines you take or what vitamins you take. None of that stuff is going to fix it. You got to fix the internal problem. Same thing with fibromyalgia. There's no medication in the world that's going to get rid of fibromyalgia. The only thing that will fix that is taking the frightening risk to follow your truth, even though you might lose people's love and affection. And that's a frightening, painful thing. Understand that people die from diseases because it's easier to knuckle under and try and be what other people want. It's easier to do that than it is to face rejection, to face the idea of being unloved. And it happens on such a deep level. That's more painful. People would rather die than face that. So I really mean that about my ancestors who say those who are willing to die in battle go to Valhalla. If you're willing to lose the love of everybody in the world to follow your soul, you will succeed. I've shared this before, but when was this? 10 years ago? 10 years ago, I think. More than 10 years ago. What am I saying? Like 12 or 13 years ago. I had such bad tendonitis that I couldn't have been able to pick this up without intense pain. I had back pain. My knee was the size of a basketball, swollen up. I had neck spasms, back spasms. I had major, feelings of arthritis. And the doctors were telling me, oh, that's from all of the sports you did and the this, and that's just comes with age. And that was 12 years ago. I wasn't even 50. And I decided, I got pissed off, and I said, I am too young to be having all these old people problems. I refuse to be in pain. I refuse to be sick. And when I got angry about it, then I made the decision to do all the things that they were telling me I was never going to be able to do again. And I started doing them, and all of those conditions disappeared. Every single one of them. So, I don't know what's going on with your hips, but I don't want to pretend I'm a doctor. There might be something. You go to a doctor. Maybe that's something that a doctor can do. I mentioned a couple things doctors can't do anything about: psoriasis and muscle spasms and fibromyalgia and tendonitis. Doctors can't do anything about those things because there's nothing to fix. There's nothing wrong with the body. It's all the body somaticizing all the unresolved emotional conflict. What's wrong with your hips? I honestly don't know. I don't want to make a wrong guess. Casey Jones threw $10 at me. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I think you're a sir. Casey, is that a guy's name? Creative Virgo question. Speaking engagements. Do you? Have you? So, Creative Virgo, you know that I don't like questions that don't have full sentences. You know, go ahead, put the effort into it, write a full sentence. I don't want to have to guess what you're asking me. So try that again. Ask me the question you really want to ask so I don't have to try and guess what you're asking me. Okay, anything else? I don't see anything else here. So that's the deal, guys. We've got the lunar eclipse coming up in a couple of days. And again, if I'm not busy doing other stuff, I'll come on and maybe I'll do something or do a mantra or who knows what. But if you're new to the channel, the most powerful practices I have are here. The Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. And this, if you want, by the way, I've just reduced the price of this by $750. The maoshan.thunderwizard.com. I've reduced that by $750. And courses.thunderwizard.com, all of my books, all of my services, everything else. And again, the channel. The channel is here. There's stuff on here that I haven't talked about lately. Anyway, make use of all of the free stuff as well as if you really want the advanced stuff, go here. It's less than a cup of coffee a day. Let's see. Any other last minute questions come up? Have you ever done speaking engagements or will you consider provided costs covered? Have I ever done speaking engagements? I feel like I want to say yes, but I don't know that I've done it as the Thunder Wizard. I've done all kinds of things, obviously. Would I consider doing that? I would consider doing that. I've been considering it for a while. I haven't landed anywhere yet. Truth is that I left Australia. I ran away because they were about to go into lockdowns and my visa had run out, and so I escaped and landed here in Australia, and I'm still bouncing. I haven't found a home yet. So when I find a home and I feel like I can put down some roots, then I'll start thinking about doing some live speaking engagements and some live classes and workshops and all that kind of stuff. I do plan on doing that when I finally get settled, whenever that's going to be. So I appreciate the question, and yeah, you guys can put that into your meditations to imagine me doing that. I still have thought about it. This would be, Florida would be a great place to do that. There's just like right down the street here, there's this really great little clubhouse surrounded by forest and beach and all that. So I would do that. But put that in your meditations and keep asking me, and maybe I'll get up off my rear end and make it happen. Okay, that's it. I don't have anything else to say. I don't see any other questions. I wish you all the best. As always, if I have said or done anything that's been hurtful, if I've hurt your feelings, know that that's just my way. I'm direct. I tell you the truth, and it comes from, as I said earlier, I care. I want nothing but the best for you. And if I bump into you and it feels like you're not living up to your greatest empowerment, I get cranky. But it's not because I'm judging you. It's because the truth is that it's because I see you as my equal. And if I can do it, then I think you should be able to do it. So that's me trying to tell you, look, I did it. You can do it. Stop screwing around. Be happy already. Anyway, that's it. I will see you guys all very soon. Take care and stay safe. Take back your soul. This is another transmission from Mahadeva here at ThunderWizard.com headquarters, where you find the world's only unified spiritual energy system at ThunderWizard.com.